Hi, my name is Alessandro Gangelosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for Max Cookie. This time I like to create a natural environment because I had the possibility to work with a client actually that has a V-Ray license and a Multiscatter license. And Multiscatter is really useful to create the scattering using V-Ray and Mentor Ray using the proxy technology. And you can create thousands or millions of instance of other meshes at render time, and it's really fast. So it's really useful to create natural environment with grass, plants, trees, and we'll see how to create something like that. I like to create a simple environment, so let's prepare the unit setup to meters. Okay. So let's say that we have 300 meters for, or maybe 500 meters. 500 meters. Okay, that's our actual environment. And let's use, obviously, more detail on the mesh. We can use really fast a convert to editable poly because I like to don't lose too much time on the modeling there. Let's go with a push and pull. Let's go for 4000, 10. Okay, let's create a little bit of sculpting there. Let's go for 35. Just to create some environment there, and let's go for 100. So, you know, it's nothing so special, just some disturbance or the mesh, just to have not a so precise mesh there. Let's go for a minus movement there using the Alt key. So I'm trying to simulate an area where we have the water. You see, it's really not so good, but it's not so important. There it is, a little bit higher. Okay, let's go for a little bit of pinch. It's too much. Let's move the pinch there. The strength, let's go for 20. So you see, we are giving a look to the terrain. Let's remove the edges faces. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Okay, let's go back there to the pinch. Let's say maybe 15. Okay. Okay, then we can use a little bit of noise, but we have to change the parameters also there. Let's say that the strength is 100. Obviously, we are not trying to have a realistic environment. It's not our purpose, but it's just to have something interesting there. Okay, so let's create this one. This model is the terrain, and let's create a plane that will be our water. Later we can decide if we need to change a little bit the parameters there. Then let's call this one water plane. We'll try also to animate the entire scene, so we'll obtain a scene that can be used in animation, and this will be interesting, I think. Okay, so let's see just simple things, and I like to use the FFT for there to move it. So you see we have this kind of environment, and it will be more simple to have no visibility when we'll have the camera. So let's try to set up a really simple lighting for our scene, and we'll set to V-Ray Sun. Yes, we like to have the V-Ray sky environment, and we remove the V-Ray sky there. Let's set up the timing, and let's try with this time. Then we create a V-Ray physical camera. Press C to have the camera. Sorry. Let's go home, but with the left. Okay. And we can move a little bit the camera there. And let's select the target. Okay, actually I'm just trying to have a simple environment, so it's not so important to have the final one. Let's have a different point of view. Okay. Perfect. You see that the camera has more information than the normal camera. Let's save the scene in the right folder. And let's call it 3ds Max environments natural environment with plants. Let's copy the entire name. And here, paste. Okay, we have it. If we go in the render and we set V-Ray, actually we are setting nothing there, and we can say render. Let's retry to render. Okay, we have this really rough environment. Let's go for 900, 400, and we can use this one. Okay, we have the environment there. Let's say we have set to on the indirect illumination, no GI caustics, and we use a really simple setup with a light cache. To be really fast, we go inside the radiance map and we set to really low, and then we go, to the light cache, and we can try to have 500 points. Let's render, and you see that's the actual setup. Obviously the quality is really low, but it's not important actually. So let's go there, and we have to prepare some shader. Let's prepare the first one, right mouse button, rename view, and let's call it water. And we go there, and we'll use the V-Ray material. We'll prepare a really simple setup. Obviously, you can create the same scene using a mental ray, but that's a really interesting moment to create something using the V-Ray there. So talking about the water color, we can have something like that. Let's call it water. Right mouse button, assign material to selection. Then we need, let's say, IRR 1.34. We have the Fresnel reflection, and we have 100% reflection. Let's see how it looks. Okay, you see that we are starting to have the reflection there. Then let's say that the water is a little bit reflective, sorry. And let's say also that we have a fog color like this one to have a little bit of murkiness inside the water. Okay, so that's the actual water color there. Then again, inside the material, we can have a bump map, and for the moment we'll simulate the water using a noise. And this noise, now we have to check the scale, but let's see, to have something like that. And let's see the scaling. It is too little, so back there let's say 50, and inside the material let's go for 5 for the bumping, and again render. So you see it's really low, the amount there, but maybe the scale must be bigger, so let's go for 85. Then let's see the result. Okay, it is not bad. Perfect. Then I like to have a little bit of glossiness over the water, so let's go there and let's say that we have maybe 0.9, but we have to check if the result is okay or not. So you see that we have a glossy reflection on the water, and that's more realistic. Now we have to play with the ground. So let's go there and let's create with a right mouse button, create a new view, and let's call it terrain. V-Ray material, double click, and we call it terrain. Let's assign material to the selection. Then in the diffuse, I like to use, in a really fast way, a substance. This time the substance will be, let's go in texture, and let's see, we can use a dry ground 1. So let's create a little bit of order there. Okay, let's go back there, and let's say that the map is visible inside the viewport. Perfect. Now let's see that we have no blurring. The map is 10 times tiled. Maybe we can go with 20 times. Maybe also 40 times. Okay. Then let's remove from the viewport, and let's go in texture size, and let's see, 12 2000 to have more resolution. Let's render. Obviously the quality is really low actually, but no, we don't need so much detail over the terrain, so we can still continue working in this way. Okay, let's go on the environment there and let's use a turbo smooth and convert everything to mesh, but we can convert to editable poly because maybe we need to do something over the mesh. So let's see the result. We should have more detail than before. You see the mesh is less strange because we have more polygons. Okay, then let's see if we can have some displacement, some displacement there. So let's go there, let's move and say standard, and we'll try to get a cellular map. And let's go there and let's try to have fractal, and the sides maybe 25. The displacement will be not so much. Let's go for 15. Let's see again the result. It is actually in preparing the mesh because we are using the V-Ray macro triangle displacement, so we'll have a really precise result. I stopped the recording so we can see the result together later. Displacement was really huge, so we have to check the material, and you see we can trying to set 1, and we can try to set a bigger scale. Let's try with 90, and then we try to render it. Let's go there and side settings, V-Ray displacement, and let's try to have less subdivision so it will be a little bit faster, and let's make a test render. You see it takes a little bit of time to prepare the mesh. And it is starting, so we see, you see we have this rocky effects over the ground, but I like to have a little bit less, and maybe I'd like to have a bigger scale for this map. So again, back in the material editor, let's try to have double scale, and let's try to have maybe 0.4, and again render. We should have a bigger scale there, and we should have less displacement. Maybe now it is too low, so we should have again a little bit more displacement. So again there, let's try with 0.8 and back there, and I like to set the radiance map to show calculation phase, and the same for the light cache, so we can see the rendering during the GI calculation. And we'll go there in the system, render region division, and we'll go for 32, so the bucket will be a little bit not so big. Now you see, we see the calculation, so we have a simple preview on how it is working. Okay, now we see the displacement, but maybe we need a little bit more detail. And I like to change the color of the ground. So back there, inside the cellular, let's remove the adaptive and let's go for 6th iteration. And the color, let's go in the substance. And let's right mouse button and open preview window. So we see the map there. Let's try to have a little bit more saturation. Let's try with 0.6 and maybe less luminosity, so 0.45. Close there and render again. Then during the test rendering we remove maybe the displacement to be faster. You see that the color is a little bit better than before. And we should have more detail on the displacement map too. There is less visible because we are using a map and the lighting is there, so obviously we have less detail, but there you can see, and we have a lot of detail on the terrain. Okay, so actually it's really simple, but it is enough. Let's save, and I like to use a tape. To see the scaling, we have 480 meters. So let's add a little bit of fog, and inside the new V-Ray we have the possibility to use a kind of volumetric fog, and I am talking about the V-Ray environmental fog. We'll use just some parameters to control, and first of all we have to set the fog 8, and the fog 8 we can say actually maybe let's work for 10 meters and later we'll see if it is enough. Okay, and then let's say fog distance 250 meters. Let's remove the displacement, so we can go there in the global switches and remove displacement, so we can prepare faster preview. Now we are checking, so that's the height you see of the fog. We need an higher level, and it can be more distant, and it can be also higher because we'll have maybe higher trees, so we have to control. Okay, so let's stop, and inside the environment, inside the environmental fog, we have the distance set to this one. Let's set the fog 8 to 50 meters, and the distance maybe is too less, so let's go for 350 meters. and then in the option there, refilter affect background, let's remove it. So we'll have no fog there. Let's see, we should have maybe a little bit there. Okay, you see. And later, obviously, we can change the parameters. Maybe we can do it now. So, having more higher distance. And for the moment can be enough. And I like to start putting some plants over there. Now we'll prepare a really simple plant for the moment, and we can use internal library there using the AC extended, and we have the foliage. And there you see there we have the plants. These plants are not so good, but it can be a good start to work with it. And let's say that we have some pine there. Okay, so we have the plant there. Let's create a new folder and let's call it pine. And we pick the material from there. Okay, you see that that's the shader, and we have this kind of material, and later we can fix it and change what we need to have a better realistic look. Then what we can do is to go there inside the standard primitives, and there we have the multiscatter. Then we can use the multiscatter, but before I prefer to have this one selected. Okay, dragging, and then we have there the first multiscatter. Actually, you see we had the terrain selected, so the distribution surface is just selected, and that's the terrain. Actually, it is doing nothing because we have no scatter object there. So we have to select the scatter object, and we can use this one with the tip of this icon to select directly inside the viewport, or we can use this one to open the list and select the multi-mesh. Let's select this one. Okay. So let's see what is happening. You see that we have a lot of plant there. Let's remove the selection, and we are seeing the boxes to see where the plants are. If you go on the lattice panel there, you see that we have the preview, and we have how much plant can be previewed, and we have 1000 to be not so slow in viewport. And then we have the possibility to stay none for the preview, box, pyramid, cross, or points. Points is an approximation of the mesh, so we can use more points or less points. You see that, for example, I can go for 5, 1, and it will be really more simple. Let's try to use the point to have a better look there. So what we can do actually, we have the basic parameter there, and you see it's just actually the selection of the first mesh, and then we have some probability and masking feature that we'll see later. I like to have a little bit more randomic distribution and scaling for this mesh. So first of all, I can go there inside the scale, and you see that we have the global scaling from 100% to 100%. That means that if I use 75%, you see that we have some trees that will be more little, and then we can go for 150%. So we have some little tree and some tree that are bigger. Then I like to use also the rotation, and we can say that we have the rotation over the z-axis. So this one, that's the z-axis, and let's say 360%. So we have randomic rotation, and we can add a little bit of rotation over their other axis too. So we have not all three in the same direction over the z-axis. Something more that can be done now is to use the collision. You see that the trees are intersecting actually, so we can say to generate collision and receive collision. So you see that actually the trees are not more in collision or intersecting, and we have a radius to control the percentage of the sides of the objects to check for intersection, and also for the height. Actually, we can leave the 100%, and you see that we have also a possibility to control the amount of penetration. So, for example, if I say that we have a penetration of 0.5, we say that the trees can intersect by half. So, some tree can intersect with the other tree in a part of the tree. Now, if we try to render this thing, we have 1000 tree. But before I like to save, we can try to render without the displacement to be faster. You see that it is amazingly fast. It's true that our trees are really simple, but you see that it is really fast to make the calculation. Now let's see what we have, and later we'll fix the parameters and also the quality. It is still calculating the GI. Okay, so that's the render. Actually, you see that we have some problems. First of all, the exposure is too low, so we have not so much lighting. Then we have the trees inside the water too, and that's not good. And second and third, the shaders for the tree are really bad. So let's select a part of the scene, like this one. Then we can remove the anti-alias from the calculation. Let's save, and we'll work to obtain a better quality. Select camera, and let's go inside the parameters there. And we have film speed ISO, let's go for 200. Then let's go inside the material editor, and we'll try to obtain a better look. So let's go on the first one. We have the trunk, and you see that we have no texture. Let's select the diffuse and connect to a standard bitmap. Or maybe let's see if we have a material standard, maps standard, and I go to select a substance. I don't remember if we have a substance that can be useful in this way. Texture, let's see if we have something. Okay, let's go with this one and cancel. With a bitmap, and we should have something. Let's go on the maps. We have let's see if we have something there. It's not so good. Maybe we can use this one, the tree bark. Okay, and let's say that we have no blurring, and I like to see the map. So we need to see just this one. Let's go at full screen. let's say we have a shaded map. Let's remove the grid. And let's move. Okay, we have to scale the map. So let's select this one, and we need more tiling. Something like that. Obviously the quality will be not so high, but it's not a problem. And then we'll try to use the same as a bump. So we'll use a color correction, maps, standard color correction, connected to the bump, and then we connect this one there, and there we remove saturation, so we have a white map, and then back there. We should have a little bit of glossiness, and the map will be, the bump will be maybe 15, nothing so much. That can be enough for the moment. We can think to have, in a really fast way, the same shader for the other branch, and later we can decide if we need to connect or not. We need a little bit of more space, and then we can connect for the moment this one there, there. Okay, and there we have the lift. So let's select this one, and we can work a little bit on this shader. There we have just this map for the transparency, but we can go to have there a material, a V-Ray material, and we can use this one as opacity. Then one will be connected there. Okay. So we have the diffuse color, and will be a green, a darker green, and we should try to have a little bit of translucency, and let's try to have an hybrid model. Let's say that we have again a green, and for the moment we'll go with a really low amount, let's say maybe 1.005, and let's say that the scatter coefficient is 0.25. A really simple amount there. I'm not trying to simulate nothing so special. So let's go there, let's save, and we can re-render this area. You see that we have more lighting. Maybe now it's too much, but it is better than before. Okay, so that's the result. The lighting is better because now we have a good illumination. You see there that it's working the fog. Maybe we have too much light there, but later we can fix it. So the trees are better. Now we have to check a little bit the other stuffs there to have a better look. So I like to remove the trees inside the water first of all, and this will be a really good thing to be done. To do it, we have to use an interesting feature we have inside the multiscatter. And that's the usage of a spline to control where we can put the trees. So, for example, we can go there and we can set to shaded so we see where we have the plants, and we can design a spline, and let's say something like that. So we are just creating a strange and not regular spline. Then we can close it. Okay. Then back there we can select the multiscatter and we can go there, the spline border, and select the spline we just created. You see that actually it is putting all the trees inside the spline. So we have just to click on inverse, and you see that now we have the trees on the outside area of the spline. Obviously the spline can be fixed and we can change how it looks. So we can have the trees you see in real time coming inside the scene. I like to see just this line, so tools, isolation, and there I like to move it a little bit, close and exit out isolation. So you see we have the trees in the right way and in the right point. Obviously later we can add some stuffs as the grass all over there. Now we can make a preview render of this area. Let's say that we use a more little proportion, and let's remove the render region and render. So we should see a preview, but that's the preview without the displacement, so we can stop it and add the displacement in global switches, displacement set to on. So you see actually it is still really simple, but we are starting to see something interesting. We have to add the grass, we have to add more plants, and we have to work on the animation. So that's just the first steps. Okay, so actually that's our result, and we'll continue on the part 2. So for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on MaxCookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.